Ladies and gentlemen, let's get real for a moment. Life doesn't give us what we want. It gives us what we tolerate. And too many people are tolerating weakness, toxicity, and behaviors that destroy their happiness. Today, I'm going to talk about something most people are afraid to touch: the 6 signs of a stupid woman. Now, I'm not here to judge, I'm here to awaken. Because when you recognize these patterns, whether in yourself, in a partner, or in the people around you, you gain the power to break free. And remember, stupidity isn't permanent. It's a choice. And once you become aware of these signs, you can make a new choice, a stronger choice, a smarter choice, starting right now. When you ignore your own self-respect, you hand over the steering wheel of your life to someone else. Think about it. Every human being is wired to crave love, to crave acceptance, to crave connection. But when that craving overrides your standards, when you choose validation over dignity, you enter into a destructive cycle where your worth is no longer determined by who you are, but by how others treat you. And the truth is, the moment you allow others to define your value, you've already given them the power to shrink it. A woman who ignores her self-respect will find herself in situations where she says yes, when everything inside of her screams no. She stays in relationships that drain her spirit, because she's convinced that being alone is worse than being mistreated. She tolerates lies, broken promises, and neglect because she's addicted to the little crumbs of attention she occasionally receives. And deep down, she knows this isn't love. It's fear disguised as love. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of facing herself in the mirror and asking, "Why don't I think I deserve better?" The most dangerous thing about ignoring self-respect is that it happens gradually. No one wakes up one day and decides, "I'm going to devalue myself today." It's subtle. It starts with small compromises, brushing off the red flags, giving one more chance, lowering the bar a little bit at a time. And each compromise chips away at the foundation of her identity, until she no longer recognizes the strong, powerful, radiant woman she once dreamed of being. Instead, she becomes a shadow, molded by the expectations of others, unable to see that she's lost herself along the way. Self-respect is not about arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about saying to the world, "This is who I am, this is what I deserve, and I will not accept anything less." But when a woman ignores that truth, she teaches others how to treat her. If she allows disrespect, disrespect becomes the standard. If she accepts broken promises, betrayal becomes the norm. People will always push as far as you let them. And when there are no boundaries, when there's no respect for self, there's no protection from pain. Ignoring self-respect is like building a house on sand. On the outside, it might look like a home, but the moment the storm comes, and the storm always comes, the whole thing collapses. Life will test you, relationships will challenge you, work will pressure you, and if you don't have the anchor of self-respect, you'll bend and break to every wave that hits. You'll sacrifice your voice just to keep the peace. You'll silence your needs just to avoid conflict. And you'll slowly disappear under the weight of pleasing everyone but yourself. Let's get brutally honest. A woman who ignores self-respect doesn't just lose relationships, she loses herself. She loses her fire, her creativity, her dreams, because everything becomes about surviving rather than thriving. She becomes a people pleaser, a fixer, a doormat, hoping that if she gives enough, sacrifices enough, bends enough, then maybe, just maybe, someone will finally love her the way she craves. But here's the paradox: when you abandon self-respect, you never actually get real love. You get attachment. You get dependency. You get convenience. Love without respect isn't love. It's control. Every decision we make either builds our self-respect or tears it down. When a woman chooses to stay quiet instead of speaking her truth, she teaches herself that her voice doesn't matter. When she settles for someone who doesn't value her, she teaches herself that her worth is negotiable. And the more often she repeats these patterns, the deeper the belief becomes: I am not enough. I don't deserve more. That belief becomes a prison, and the saddest part is she's holding the key, but doesn't realize it. Ignoring self-respect also distorts identity. Over time, she starts to confuse being needed with being loved. She mistakes chaos for passion. She thinks loyalty means staying no matter how much she's hurt. And slowly, the line between who she really is and who she's pretending to be gets blurred. That's when you see women who are constantly exhausted, constantly anxious, constantly questioning themselves, because deep down they know they're living out of alignment with their true worth. There's a reason why people who ignore self-respect often experience cycles of betrayal, disappointment, and heartbreak. It's because life will keep giving you the same lesson until you learn it. If she doesn't respect herself, she will continue attracting people who reflect that lack of respect. It's not bad luck, it's not coincidence, it's a mirror. The outside world is always reflecting the inside world. And if inside she believes she is unworthy, then outside she will find endless situations that confirm it. Ignoring self-respect is also costly because it steals time. Years get wasted on the wrong people, wrong situations, wrong environments, simply because she didn't have the courage to say, "This isn't for me." Imagine what could have been built in that time: dreams pursued, businesses launched, passions explored, real love experienced, if only self-respect had been the guiding force. Every day spent without it is a day spent living below her potential. But the saddest reality of ignoring self-respect is the generational effect. When a woman doesn't respect herself, the people watching, her children, her friends, her community, learn that pattern. Little girls grow up thinking that love equals sacrifice without boundaries. Little boys grow up believing that disrespect is acceptable. The cycle continues because one person didn't break it, and the cost of that ignorance echoes into future lives. Think about it. When a woman ignores her self-respect, she is essentially dimming her own light so others can shine brighter. But the world doesn't need more dimmed lights. The world needs women who stand tall, who radiate confidence, who demand respect not just with words, but with presence. And yet, so many choose the path of silence, of shrinking, of invisibility, because they believe they don't deserve to shine. That is the tragedy of ignoring self-respect. It convinces you that hiding is safer than being seen. The truth is, every time self-respect is ignored, a piece of potential dies. That book never gets written. That idea never becomes reality. That love story never blossoms. That leader never rises. And all because she chose to believe that she wasn't enough. That's how dangerous this mindset is. It doesn't just affect relationships, it affects destiny. There is a truth that too many people avoid, and it's the reason why so many lives get stuck in cycles of pain and disappointment. The truth is this: when you settle for less than you deserve, you end up losing the very essence of who you are. Nowhere is this more destructive than in relationships. Think about it. How many women stay in situations that drain their energy, their confidence, and their future, simply because they're afraid to walk away? How many tolerate toxic behaviors, disrespect, and neglect, convincing themselves that this is what love is supposed to look like? When you choose to remain in a relationship that consistently harms you, you're not just sacrificing your happiness. You're sacrificing your identity. At the core, settling for a toxic relationship is a symptom of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of the unknown, and that fear becomes so powerful that it blinds you from the truth. It convinces you that it's better to hold on to something broken than to face the world without it. But here's the reality: when you accept toxicity, you're telling yourself and everyone around you that this is the level of respect you're willing to settle for. And the moment you tolerate it, you teach the other person that it's okay to treat you this way. What you allow is what will continue. Every toxic relationship has patterns. Maybe it's constant criticism that eats away at your self-worth. Maybe it's manipulation, where your partner makes you feel guilty for wanting something better. Maybe it's indifference, where your needs, your dreams, and your feelings are dismissed like they don't matter. And here's the tragedy: so many women begin to normalize these patterns. They start believing this is just how relationships are. They rationalize it. They justify it. They bury their intuition so deeply that eventually they forget what it even feels like to be valued. The cost of settling for toxicity isn't just emotional. It's physical. Stress and anxiety become a part of your daily life. Your body responds to constant tension, and over time, it robs you of energy, health, and vitality. You can see it in the face of someone who is drained by a relationship, shoulders heavy, eyes dim, smile forced. It's a weight that doesn't just stay in the heart. It seeps into every area of life. Work suffers, friendships suffer, and most importantly, the relationship with yourself suffers. There's a dangerous illusion many people cling to: the belief that staying in a toxic relationship is somehow an act of loyalty or strength. But loyalty to what? To pain, to disrespect, to mediocrity. Real strength is not found in holding on to something that breaks you down. Real strength is in the courage to let go. Yet many avoid this because they believe leaving means failure. But the real failure is staying where you are diminished, where your light is dimmed, where your growth is suffocated. And what about the excuse of love? But I love him. But he loves me. Love is not an excuse for destruction. Love, when it's real, empowers you. It makes you more of who you are, not less. If you are shrinking, silencing yourself, or constantly questioning your worth in the name of love, then it isn't love. It's attachment. And attachment is often born out of fear, not out of genuine connection. Fear binds you to someone who hurts you, while love frees you to be your highest self. There's also the issue of potential. He has potential. Things will get better. Potential is one of the most dangerous traps in relationships. You can spend years, even decades, waiting for someone to become who you believe they could be, all the while ignoring the reality of who they are today. Potential does not pay the bills. Potential does not heal your heart. Potential does not change the present. What matters is action, and if the action is toxic, disrespectful, or destructive, then that is the truth you must face. Settling for toxic relationships often stems from not knowing your own value. When you don't recognize your worth, you will always accept less than what you deserve. And here's the paradox: the longer you stay in a damaging relationship, the harder it becomes to remember that worth. You start to confuse endurance with value. You think that because you've stayed, you must somehow be strong. But strength without self-respect is just another form of weakness. Staying in pain doesn't make you brave. It makes you forgetful of the fact that you were meant for more. And let's be clear, toxic doesn't always mean dramatic. It doesn't always look like screaming or violence. Sometimes it's subtle. It's the silence that follows your success, when the person who's supposed to celebrate you only feels threatened. It's the dismissal of your dreams with a casual, "That's silly," or "That will never work." It's the refusal to meet you halfway, to compromise, to listen. These small poisons, taken day after day, destroy confidence just as much as the obvious explosions. They're quieter, but they cut just as deep. Now, think about what happens when you finally decide you're worth more. The moment you stop settling, the moment you draw a line and say, "No more," something shifts. That's when growth begins. That's when you reclaim your energy, your time, and your power. That's when you start attracting the kind of people and opportunities that reflect the respect you've demanded for yourself. Because here's the truth: the world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you demand through your standards. And your standards begin with what you tolerate in your closest relationships. So, settling for a toxic relationship is not just about choosing the wrong partner. It's about choosing against yourself. Every day you stay in a place that dishonors you, you're making a choice that says, "I am not enough to deserve better." And the longer you repeat that choice, the more you reinforce it until it becomes your identity. But the moment you break that pattern, the moment you demand more, you send a signal to yourself that says, I matter, my life matters, my future matters. And that's when transformation begins. Playing the victim is one of the most destructive mindsets a person can carry, and it silently erodes confidence, potential, and the ability to live a fulfilled life. When a woman constantly positions herself as the victim, she gives away her personal power. Instead of recognizing her capacity to influence her future, she convinces herself that life is happening to her rather than for her. This perspective creates a cycle where problems seem bigger, solutions seem impossible, and every setback is interpreted as another confirmation that she has no control. It's not that challenges don't exist. Everyone faces pain, rejection, and disappointment. But the difference is how someone chooses to respond. A victim mindset magnifies the pain and blinds the individual from seeing the opportunities hidden within adversity. A woman caught in this pattern often defaults to blame. She might blame her partner, her family, her boss, or even society for where she is in life. While there are certainly unfair circumstances and external pressures, remaining stuck in blame eliminates personal responsibility. The tragedy is that personal responsibility is where freedom begins. By clinging to excuses and pointing the finger outward, she unknowingly ties herself to the very chains she wishes to break free from. This constant search for who is at fault keeps her from looking inward, where the real power for transformation exists. When blame dominates the narrative, growth comes to a halt, because growth can only occur when someone admits, I have a choice in how I respond. Another dimension of the victim role is the addiction to sympathy. When a woman repeatedly plays out her struggles as stories of helplessness, she often attracts attention and pity from others. This temporary comfort feels validating in the moment, but it's dangerous because it rewards weakness instead of strength. Over time, she may unconsciously seek out more situations where she can be seen as the one suffering, because that identity has become familiar. The problem is, this prevents her from stepping into the identity of someone powerful, capable, and resilient. She trades real progress for emotional scraps of attention, never realizing that people respect leaders, not martyrs. Living as a victim also distorts decision-making. Instead of choosing actions that lead to growth, she avoids risks, fearing that failure will only confirm her weakness. She might pass up opportunities because she already believes the outcome is predetermined against her. In relationships, this can show up as tolerating disrespect or manipulation, because she has internalized the belief that she has no control. In careers, it can mean staying stuck in a job she hates, convinced that better options are out of reach. Every decision made under the victim lens reinforces the same cycle: avoidance, fear, and limitation. Chasing validation over growth is one of the most destructive patterns that keeps people stuck in cycles of disappointment, insecurity, and weakness. When someone bases their entire sense of worth on what others think, they hand over the steering wheel of their life to outside approval. Every action, every decision, every choice becomes filtered through a question: will they like me? Will they accept me? That mindset is a trap, because no matter how much you try, you will never be able to control what others think. You could do everything perfectly, sacrifice everything you are, and still, someone will find a reason to criticize, reject, or look down on you. Living this way leaves you powerless, disconnected from your true potential, and constantly exhausted. Validation feels good in the moment. It's like a quick hit of sugar. Someone compliments you, approves of you, or claps for you, and instantly you feel lighter. But just like sugar, it fades quickly and leaves you craving more. The need for constant reassurance becomes endless. This is why so many people stay trapped in unhealthy relationships or shallow social circles. They fear losing the attention or approval of others, So they compromise their values, silence their voices, and suppress their dreams. What they don't realize is that this hunger for validation is actually a signal pointing to a deeper emptiness inside. A lack of self-acceptance, a fear of standing alone, and an avoidance of personal growth.